Everything has to be logical. But life is a lot more irrational than irrational. The capacity that we need to have to just to be with life is a lot more than just our own small mind and how we understand things. Life is not a human-centric experience. We are having a human-centric experience. So that's a bit of adjustment.
Hey, it's Rocky. Welcome to Richer Soul. Today's guest is Yasha Shah, who explains why the most powerful thing a high achiever can do is stop being in charge. Imagine it's 12 months from now, and you've achieved your major life goals. How does it feel to be in the best shape of your life? To wake up energized, excited about the day? To have great relationships and friends who support you and propel you forward? How does it feel to have an excess of money, to be able to make the choices you want? To be fearless and open to trying new adventures? Imagine being connected to the universe and it providing everything you desire. It's possible over time, and your past does not dictate your future. The only thing holding you back from this vision is you. It's time to take control of our thoughts and use them to our advantage. Welcome to Richer Soul, where we achieve our dreams and bring balance to health, wealth, relationships, time, and spirituality. If you have not had a chance to listen to episodes 1 through 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to the framework behind Richer Soul and how to create the life of your dreams. You can also find all the show notes for this episode at richersoul.com. He was a stock trader who made millions, lost it all, and hit bottom, with crippling anxiety and suicidal thoughts. Therapy failed, medication failed. So he went to the Amazon, desperate for answers. What he found wasn't a magic cure. It was something way more real and way more challenging. What about you? You've built something, you've hit the numbers, you've done the work, and still there's a quiet hum underneath it all that says something's missing. What if the thing holding you back is the same thing that got you here? The need to control the outcome. My guest today is Yasha Shah, founder of Mahadevi Ayahuasca Retreat in Colombia. He works with entrepreneurs and high performers who've tried therapy, read the books, and done the work, but still feel disconnected from themselves. And what he has found is that for people like us, the hardest and most important lesson is learning to stop leading and start receiving. This is a conversation about what happens when you let go of the wheel. Let's meet him and find out. So after people go through a session, is it instant? I did this and now everything's perfect. I'm healed and life is wonderful again.
I mean, I wish I could say yes to that. And if I had such a thing, I'll probably charge millions of dollars for it, because then there you go. Most of people's problems are gone. And that would be the best thing ever. But unfortunately, that's not usually what happens. I think the process takes people to get to meet that part of themselves, and they develop a little compassion and love and understanding. But they come out of that experience with a great sense of awareness and how to be connected to themselves in a more compassionate way and understand where the pains are. But there's a process that we have to go through that we usually call integration. And that process takes a bit of time, depends on people and how consistent they are with their process. But usually it takes a bit of time, and the result is definitely worth it. I've seen great transformation in people who are willing to put on their hours and time after that. And it's a journey. It's a journey that we go through. And there will be things that we become aware of down the line that we don't have that access to those memories or those experiences, those part of ourselves yet. And that's something it unlocks as we grow. But I think that the most fulfilling part of that experience is not that we get to the healed part, but how much more freedom and joy we get to cultivate, how much wisdom we get to cultivate as we go through that. So rather than waiting for one final moment, we get to have a lot of moments of celebration throughout that process.
Do you find that once they see it, that's the end and that they just have to figure that out? Or is it you dig to this and you think you've solved it, and another layer kind of magically appears. And now
Yeah.
there's more work to be done. And that cycle tends to almost be repetitive.
In my experience of working with people, what I see most of the time is that they will have, usually early on when they are working with ayahuasca, especially, is that they will have the big stuff in their life, in their early ceremony experiences. So there's a lot of progress right away. And there will be a lot of fine tuning in down the line. And usually the big stuff when they come, especially working with a lot of entrepreneurs, is that they don't have so many healing experiences and it's very touching for them. So these experiences will really hit them in a way that they feel that they are different person in some ways, even though they still carry some of the old patterns and there is a bit of, the effect of it will fade away. I think as people go on this journey, what they will find is that there are layers after layers, just like what you said. And that's something that we learn more and more about it. And unfortunately, also for a lot of people early on, when they come toward ayahuasca, we always try to get that out right away, that this is not a miracle thing. This is a process. And unfortunately, some people have this idea in their head that it's going to be a magic cure and it's going to be done. It's not like that. There's a process, but it's extremely rewarding. And that's why a lot of people come back next year because they want to go a bit deeper, and they feel that reward and experience that they had.
You keep mentioning entrepreneurs coming.
Mhm.
What is it that brings entrepreneurs in versus just people?
Yeah. I think part of it, I remember when I started working with ayahuasca first time, it was 2017. And I wasn't really connected that much to this community, but I don't feel there was a lot of people who were entrepreneurs at the time they were coming. There were some people, but not a lot. But I think because people like listening to podcasts like this, the culture shifted definitely. That got a lot of people to come and try that. And I think that there is this, you could say, awakening amongst people, and we're learning more about ourselves. I think the people who are entrepreneurs, high achievers, they're looking at ways to upgrade, their performance, their life. And ayahuasca is an extremely attractive option right now, as well as other psychedelic therapy, because entrepreneurs, especially, they are result driven people. There are people who want to have something impactful. They don't want just to have the same old. I think therapy is very beautiful and I think it's very useful for many people, but I think a lot of them also have tried those paths. They've seen that just simply talking about a therapy or this or that or medications is not going to help. And they're looking for alternative. And because of the awareness that's created, I think more and more people are coming. And I personally think that the future of psychedelic therapy, especially the ancestral segment, which is the ayahuasca, is extremely bright in the future. And a lot of people that these years that come to me and they want to collaborate or do more different things, they come from, especially from tech background. A lot of them, data architect, and my good friends right now, just joining the team. And different people from Google, Meta, that they used to work there, but now they're out of it. People are looking for freedom and they're looking for it in places that they didn't look before. And that's why a lot of people come.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of it, I think, started in Silicon Valley and then it went and kind of caught fire in the entrepreneurial community as well.
Mm. How
How does this come together with dealing with ego and kind of that clash of, hello, let me show you ego?
I think the world of ayahuasca is very dreamy. It's very lucid. And it takes people on this journey. I would say drinking ayahuasca is not something that we could do like other type of psychedelic or things like that. It requires guidance because there are things, especially that are very on a spiritual realm, that a lot of people don't understand. But putting those part of it aside, is that there's a lot of stuff that there are a lot of traps, and that's the job of the facilitators, the guides, the ayahuasqueros, to not necessarily tell people what their experience is supposed to mean to them, but to guide and inform them about these traps. For example, I talk a lot about the trap of projection, sometimes happen. People in this retreat and with other people, but in the ceremony, they think, oh, this other person needs to learn about this, or I think it's this person thinks. And the job of facilitator is to help the person to turn that projection inward. Why is it that I feel that way toward this or that? What is it that for me to learn? I think that's a very important part of it. Other part of it is that I think it's challenging for some people is to giving up the idea of control, right? Especially with psychedelic stuff. And that could be a bit challenging for a lot of people, especially for high achieving individuals, because they live up here most of the time and they're always trying to plan and scheme and they're trying to control an outcome, and they come with that tendency for many many years to an ayahuasca ceremony, and in that process you're not in charge. You're supposed to be led, you're supposed to be shown, you have to receive. And that's an experience that we have a process for it. Through breath work and preparation, we do our best to get people to that state of mind to not struggle with the medicine, not struggle, and be able to go deeper into their experience. But that is something that people learn. And these are very, I would say, class one, class two lessons, the ayahuasca journeys. Early on, they come to that as like, oh, I am fighting, I'm not letting go. And I think when they develop a trust that they feel I am safe drinking ayahuasca, I'm safe with these people, that becomes a lot easier and easier and easier over a period of time. And some people will just don't have that problem right away. They just go really deep. So it's very personal based on where the individual psyche is and how they live their life before they come to an ayahuasca ceremony, all those years, really.
It's quite eye opening. So you kind of keep touching on spirituality. How does spirituality fit into this whole ceremony?
Mm-hmm. I think to answer that, I will talk about the origin story of ayahuasca, right? Where ayahuasca comes from. There are various forms of this story, depends on which tribes, which people you sit with. I give you the one that is most people will agree with some way or another. Even within a tribe, a teacher is different than not a teacher. So it varies. But people, in the Amazon region, they were very sick and they were looking for solutions. And the shamans of the tribe, they prayed and God offered them a medicine. And through that, they learned what plant needs to be fixed with which plant, and they created ayahuasca and they offered it to people. So this is very important because if you're looking in Amazon, there are so many different species of plants. How do you know that you have to mix these two particular plants together? Many of them are exactly look like each other from outside. Some of them are very poisonous. You could immediately die if you take the wrong thing. So nobody's gonna sit there and do experiment thousands of years ago just to figure out, oh, this plus this equal ayahuasca, right? So when we realize where it comes from, that there was a shaman, there was a mystic before there was the brew, before we drink it, and we also there is an origin story that is very tied up to the spirituality. Ayahuasca originally was not necessarily used in a way that we use it today. The way we use it today is mostly for healing, and we see it as more a therapy tool or something for even for spirituality. But indigenous people use it to commune with the dead, with their ancestors, to talk with those people, to help their soul to pass. They use it to learn what is the weather, how's the weather is going to be, what medicine I gotta make, where can I get my next meal when it comes to hunting time. It comes for a lot of different things, and it's a very community medicine. It's a medicine you drink with other people. It's not a solo thing. Of course, today in retreat setting, and people are more interested in therapeutic or even for spiritual awakening and expansion. So when we understand that part of it and we have the experience, then we get to see it's quite a bit of a spiritual experience when we involve ourselves into it. Yeah.
And people talk about grandma coming to visit them.
Yes.
Can you expand on that?
It's a very interesting thing. I'm going to give you something unique that a lot of people probably never heard, or it's very common in among people who drink ayahuasca. Talk about Pachamama or the Divine Mother, Grandma, and usually ayahuasca is seen that way. But when you talk to the indigenous people, they actually viewed ayahuasca as a masculine spirit, not a feminine one. They refer to as father. And that is a very interesting thing, where does it come from? When did it start, people calling it? And for me, in my experience, I see it as a mother. I see it as a grandma, as a very loving mother, divine mother. I see that energy, a very feminine, very motherly feel to it. And I think it's a bit of a cultural thing, but I think the energy of the medicine is also shifted. Whereas originally it was very more toward the masculine and the patriarch and the tribe man. It has shifted to more and more a feminine, compassionate thing. And this feeling that ayahuasca is a mother is a very common feeling. Some people will see it directly, a female figure. Sometimes they see a female figure that looks like Mother Mary or, Pachamama or whatever their own subconscious has as an image. Sometimes it uses that. Sometimes they feel it. It's this loving, motherly feeling that is very kind and takes care of you like a child. And that's, I think, a lot of people get that feeling from that. But it is the nature of Mother Earth, Pachamama, and that essence is very, available in the people's experience.
So let's kind of take a step back. We've been talking a lot about ayahuasca. What is you seeing happening societally, especially on the Western side, that causes people all of these issues to begin with?
I think that what happened was that a long time ago, I'm not sure when, I don't have the exact time, but what it is that it's something that also is happening also in East, in West, that people decided to focus mostly on the body and focus on their mind and the content of their own mind and live in the reality that they create for themselves and not be connected to their body. Part of it is because they felt unsafe, because they needed to survive. And that pushed us. That pushed us to develop tools and things for us to survive, to survive, to survive. And that feeling over centuries and centuries and centuries pushed human beings to be more attached to their thoughts and to their mind rather than to the body and to the earth. It created this disconnection. And of course, with the advancement of technologies that we have, this has become more rapid, and that created more and more problem for people. So a combination of these things made people to feel this disconnection, and that's why they are looking for ways just to come back to themselves, to back to the original factory setting. They're looking for that in a way. Yeah.
This episode of Richer Soul is sponsored by the Profit Answer Man podcast. If you're a business owner who wants to scale and grow, increase profits, or want to have strategic conversations around your financials, then check out the podcast. You'll learn how to work less, increase cash flow, increase profits, and build reserves to help you weather storms. It's built on the Profit First methodology of pay yourself first. The Profit Answer Man podcast is a must listen to for every small business owner and anyone who wants to help them survive and thrive. Check it out on your favorite listening platform. Post ceremony, what does the work look like really for integration? Like, how long is it? What are the different things? What is the better way to do that? Because I know American culture, give me a pill, and now everything's supposedly okay.
Yeah, at our own retreat, Mahadevi, we created this 5 archetype of integration. Okay. So I go through some of it and explain. And I think that in my experience, everybody is different, depends on where they are in their life. Some people are more about exploration. These are the type of people maybe to change their job, their marital status, or they're looking for meaning or reconnecting with their why in life. For these people, it's most about being open. They have an open process that is about not finding the answer right now, but let's see where the journey goes. And for them, it's mostly about being open and being exposed so they can find what they're looking for in a genuine and beautiful process. And if we give them an answer right away, they feel very restricted and they feel that their process is not finished. So that's for people who are more an explorer type. There are people who are on the initiate, I call them. These are people who are very new to healing, feeling, to spirituality. And for them, integration is more about being grounded, being centered, and for things to make sense for them and be able to connect with things. So they're developing their inner skills mostly to be able to process things. There's another type, we call it the rationalist. This is very common, very common. And these are people who everything has to make rational sense, right? Everything has to be logical. But life is a lot more irrational than like irrational. The capacity that we need to have to, just to be with life. It's a lot more than just our own small mind and how we understand things. Life is not a human centric experience. We are having a human centric experience. So that's a bit of adjustment. But for them, I think working, especially, I work with them very well because you have to be bilingual. You got to know the spiritual lingo, you got to understand the medicine lingo, but also a logical one. So for them, they want to things to make sense. And I think I use a lot of things that we learned from psychology, modern psychology, neuroscience, somatic processes, for them things to make sense. And so the meaning making of their experience is very important part of their process.
What do you mean by meaning making?
Meaning making. When the world of ayahuasca is like we're having, like, we have dreams, right? When we go to bed, some people have more, some people have less. So we have this dream, we had this ayahuasca experience. What is it supposed to mean? Was it really, did I see my mom? Did I see my dad? Was it real? Or was it I was just doing something else? I see this jaguar spirit or a tiger. What is it supposed to mean? I felt like light was coming out of my chest, or this was happening. Was it real? What is it supposed to mean? What am I supposed to do with all of that? And so meaning making is to whatever experience, we bring it back in a way that it fits in within the psyche of the person, that is useful, and they can do something with it. But that process has to be a process that individual is in charge, not the facilitator or the shaman. So it will be mostly supporting the person and holding a space so they can come to understand what was this experience and what it meant and what they can get out of it.
Who is this not for? Like,
Mm.
who should stay away or maybe get better prepared
Mhm.
before they think about doing something like this?
Well, I think the people who have certain psychological issues like borderline personality disorder, bipolar, usually type 2, various forms of, schizophrenia or things like that. So we do have a medical screening process. We're trying to find out these issues. And if there is nothing, we cannot hold the space for them. So usually don't attend. So there is a very clear set of illnesses, heart conditions, other issues that is not good for those people. So that's just one set of group people that they should just avoid this. The other set of people that they should avoid this is that if they don't want their world to change in any way. They just, I'm okay. I don't want to do this. And sometimes this happens. I usually avoid try to accept them into my retreat program, but sometimes it happens. It gets true. And it's because they're a couple. There's a couple and the wife really wants to do it, but like maybe the husband doesn't want to, and the husband is just happy with the way things are, but he wants to support the wife, so he comes over, and then there's a bit of a challenge, right? Because he just doesn't is not interested in any of this, so it becomes like a torture for the person. It's like, I don't want to do this, right? So I think that's like another type of people that they should really avoid that.
What happens to those people when they do it?
The people who don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's like there's a probability that they change their mind and they love it and they're like, oh wow, I really like that. But there's also a probability that happens that they just don't want to be there, right? They don't want to be there. They don't, and they resist it, and it becomes confusing to them, and they just won't. They resist the process a lot, and it just becomes very difficult for them. And yeah, so it's like there's a chance that it might be really good, and there might chance that it might not be because they're just not open to the process.
No, that makes sense. I wasn't sure if well, and I could see that just knowing the nature of it,
Mm,
it's either they get a wake up call or they get ignored, so to
yeah,
speak.
pretty much. Yeah.
And it just depends on the situation and so forth. Is this usually a good first step? Because I'm told this is kind of like the big one as far as journey goes. Should
Yeah.
people do something before they do this? Or like,
Mm.
is there a sequence to this?
So this is a really good question, and I get that very often. And the answer to that is that honestly, I had people who never done any psychedelic. They never even done yoga or meditation in their life, and they come and they have a blast. This is one of the best experience of their life. So I think that it can be anywhere. So what I tried to do was that my own first ayahuasca experience was incredibly difficult experience. In 2007, the first time that I did it, the next day I just wanted to leave. I wanted to go home. You know, I want to go back to Canada. I didn't want to do it. And I think that I have a lot of compassion for a lot of people that want to try this for the first time. I remember my own first time. So we created a way that it's going to help people to be prepared for the process. But also, we have this very unique, special thing that unfortunately it can only be found in Colombia and with a set of people that I work with. And there is a form of ayahuasca that is called crudo. This is an uncooked, raw version of the medicine. And this is only available in the Amazon in Putumayo, Colombia, to my knowledge. You cannot find it in Peru or elsewhere. And one, it tastes like water, it smells like vegetable juice, and the intensity is more mild and it's a lot easier on the body. This part of it is not proven yet. We want to do some research later on, so I'm not claiming anything. But it's also possible that is more safe for people with bipolar, even type 1, to be able to handle this medicine. So there is a possibility that might be good for even people who are more sensitive on the side. So that could be helpful as well.
What is going on in the medical science world? How is medical science viewing this?
I have quite a bit of friends who are psychiatrists and psychologists and science and researchers. I think there is a serious interest in psychedelics in general. I think that the industry is also growing, but also part of it is a bit, we're not sure because it's turning into profit making. So we're a bit mindful of that. But I think that there has been good research done, especially for people who are veterans. There's quite a bit of research on that and shows promising. And I think that it's also been shown very effective for depression. And the more research is being done on that. I think that we're still very much early parts of that. And then also the way we also approach the research on ayahuasca is also being challenged a lot. In the beginning, a lot of people, they just want to collect data. And then they do this chemical, this dosage, and this and that. But they're also realizing that ayahuasca is not just the drink. It's about what people call refer to as shamans. What about that? What about the point of view of indigenous people? Should we consider that as part of the healing process when we are making all of these assumptions about what is ayahuasca and what is not ayahuasca? So you all have these camps that are being developed called ethical research. So that is also including indigenous voice, because who's really the expert of ayahuasca? The scientists who just found it 20 years ago, or these people have been doing it for thousands of years. So that's a bit of a challenge, and that's something really new and fresh that I think a lot of people are becoming more aware of.
And you also have a course to help people. What is that about?
Yes, my partner and I, Anya, we created this video course, which is free for everyone. It's 9 videos, and it's made for people who are high achiever, high performer, entrepreneurs. We created it so there's not so much woo-woo and there's not so many language that people don't understand what's going on. So it's in a lingo that they understand, but also includes indigenous people. It talks about safety, the preparation, and in that process, people learn that if ayahuasca is for them, if this is safe, if this is something that's right for them, what is supposed to do for them, and kind of, because sometimes people watch a podcast with their favorite, entrepreneurs or actor, and they will go, I want to do ayahuasca, right? But so they're hyped up. So this is very like sobering level, but it also showing the potential of what is possible. It's called ayahuasca framework, and we developed at Mahadevi, and is available for anybody who wants to sign up for it, and they can learn quite a bit about ayahuasca, and especially a lot of information on the web is very much come from all kinds of sources. And I see sometimes when, before we had this course and people come to my retreat, now they have all this false information in their head. So as a retreat facilitator, organizer, I have to go and try to get rid of those as much as I can. And this really helps with people so they don't have to spend so much time putting false information or other people's personal experience that is not necessarily going to be theirs. So they will get what they really need, not what extra anything like that. Yeah.
And this is a very much of an individual journey. You might go with your expectations, but you will get what you get. It's not like other things that I think people have an expectation. Oh, I'm going for X and I'm getting X. You can go for whatever you want. You're going to get what you're going to get. It's not.
Yeah. I
No
think that's
guarantees.
you said it beautifully. I think that's 100% correct. And this actually, that's how we end the course in the video. We kind of explain that to people because it's very important, right? And we don't want people to come and be like disappointed, like, oh, I wanted to, meet God, and why am I working my inner child? It's not what I wanted. That's what could be. Yeah.
Do you find a lot of people coming to meet God?
Um, I have met enough people who were looking for that, or they're looking mostly to see if there's anything called like spirituality or any of it is real. If there's anything more than matter and just our own head. So a lot of people come. I had enough people to come for that, and it's a beautiful experience to see how it unfolds for them.
I was going to say, what do they usually find?
Hmm. I think a lot of times what they find is that there is there's a higher intelligence at play in life, right? And there is love, and there is light, and there is something that connects all of us, and that there is a greater sense of intelligence than what I can understand as a person at play. I think that's a very common understanding most people. And then some people will have their own image projected to it, maybe because they see it as, I don't know, I met Jesus, because they come from Christian background. I had Jewish friends who were not practicing Judaism, were not practicing Jewish people. And then they just decided to go back and be better Jews, because of the experiences they had. So it's kind of like that.
It's my understanding that they've actually done studies, and atheists find God quite often.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there something about the journey or the experience, or just even wider, that we should have touched on today, or that you would like to share that we didn't get a chance to?
Yeah, I would love to talk about something that is very important. And is that it's better for people who want to experience ayahuasca is to go to the motherland, to the Amazon. Because first, a lot of the ayahuasca that is offered outside of these countries, this region, is that they are paste medicine. They cook down the ayahuasca, they make it into a paste, they move it to other countries. And I'm not saying it's not that people will not have ayahuasca experience with that. They could be very beautiful and healing, but the quality is not the same, right? Because one is, I always say it's like you go to Italy and you go to your favorite wine place and you buy a lot of wine and then you make it into a paste. You go back home and you add water into it. You just killed a lot of stuff in the middle. It's not the same freshness and quality. And also on top of that, the good thing that it does for you and for anyone who's interested is that you actually get to also, indigenous people should also be part of that economic benefit of these experiences, right? Before you and I or anybody else even get to know what was ayahuasca, they had to protect and preserve this for thousands of years against colonizers, against all kinds of people who called even their beliefs and their practices as very nasty things about them. And I think that it's fair for them to also receive some economic benefit, fair economic benefit. So in a way, you will do something good for yourself, you will do something good for other people, and you do something good for the world. So I understand that not everybody can come all the way to the Amazon, but I think that if it's possible, I always encourage people to do so.
Well, is there not something to the energy too that's there as
Yeah,
part of the experience that is somewhat different? I've always told that this particular psychedelic is much more that way. It's much more the event as much as it is the actual product.
I definitely believe in that. I think that it is definitely there. I think that being on the land is very different. Having indigenous people around it and the ancestral energy and spirit of these people are included in that process as well. That's very different. And I think that there is an intelligence to the medicine itself. When a person decides to travel quite a bit of time to get to that place, the medicine itself sees that as a beautiful offering, as a form of respect because ayahuasca does have an intelligence. They're viewed as a motherly being. So when she sees that the person is willing to put up the energy and to come to meet her properly, so they all will receive and receive more of her blessing, you could say in a way.
It's time to learn the secrets of life. What's one truth about success you wish more people understood?
Success is about seeing joy that you create in other people.
Hmm. Not in yourself necessarily, right? Being
Yeah.
more into the community. What's a lesson that cost you a lot but was worth every penny?
I think what it cost me a lot was that I should not, investing in myself is not an expense.
Hmm. No, it's a return, right? And
Yeah.
we forget to do that.
Yeah.
If you were to give an 18-year-old one specific piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Mm. I would definitely say spend some time with yourself alone and listen to what it comes up.
Get out of your head, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of what we talked about today.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
people would like to learn more about you, the retreat, how do they find all that information?
They can visit us at mahadeviayahuasca.com. So you can include links, and they can also find the course on Mahadevi Ayahuasca /education. And also, I am on LinkedIn as well if they want to connect with me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
This idea that we spend our whole lives building the muscle of control, and then the thing we need most is to set it down. I struggle with it too. Here's something worth sitting with. If you spent your entire life being the one in charge, what might happen if you led yourself to be led? If someone in your life is winning on paper but quietly searching for something deeper, send them the episode. Sometimes the right conversation finds us through someone who cares enough to share it. And if you want more conversations like this, come find me on LinkedIn. Love to hear what brought you here. Thanks for listening. Have an abundant week.